April 21st, 1977, Dover, Massachusetts. A quiet New England town until the thing appeared. It was pale, lanky, glowing eyes, no nose, no mouth, and it moved like it didn't belong here. Because maybe it didn't. In just 25 hours, 3 teenagers, all alone, all in different spots, saw the same thing. They called it the Dover Demon. But what the hell was it? Welcome back to Weirder After Dark, the podcast. We get into all things New England weird. My name is Sean, and I'm here with my 2 co-hosts.
I am Chris.
And I'm Kathy.
And today, we've got a 100% cryptid-focused episode, our first one. How y'all feeling about that?
I'm interested because I have a hard time with these cryptid stories.
Yeah?
I'm not really a big believer in the cryptids.
Okay.
I'm kind of digging that we have an episode that's all about cryptids.
Yeah.
We going Bigfoot hunting?
We're not going Bigfoot hunting. We're kind of right around
Ness?
there. But no Loch Ness.
Right.
Yeah, Chris is just ripping through them all. But we've had some
Is it a Pudgewuggy?
It's not a Pugwudgie either. Yeah. We've had our episode in the Bridgewater Triangle, right?
Yeah.
That had a ton of different cryptids in there. None of that. We had your curse in the Vermont.
Yeah, the Wendigo.
The Wendigo. We had that one, but it ain't that either. Today we're going to be talking about the Dover Demon.
The Dover Demon. I've heard of this.
Yeah?
I've heard of the Dover Demon, but I don't know what it is.
When we first started this podcast, I started doing a little research on it, and I didn't think there was enough teeth to do a full episode. But damn, I dug in. There's enough teeth. There's enough teeth.
I think you're the reason
Is that
why
a
I've
pun?
heard of the Dover Devil.
Okay.
I wish it was a pun.
right.
I wish it was a pun. I wish it was a pun. It's not. It's not. But we ready to dive in to dirty Dover, Massachusetts?
For the Dover kid.
Let's go to Dover.
Yeah.
All right. Our story begins in the quiet town of Dover, Massachusetts, just 15 miles southwest of Boston. In 1977, Dover was an affluent, idyllic community of about 4,700 residents. It was the kind of place where the roads curled through shadowy woods, past rolling hills, where neighbors knew each other's names and life moved at a peaceful, predictable pace. Families were drawn there by the charm: open fields, dense forest, gently murmuring streams, and top-tier public schools. Dover had the postcard-perfect calm of rural New England. But deep in those woods, something was waiting. Something was lurking. Something no one in Dover was prepared to see. Over the course of a single 25-hour stretch, starting on the night of April 21st, 1977, this peaceful town's illusion of safety was shattered. An unnatural visitor appeared on its dimly lit back roads, witnessed by several terrified teenagers. It moved with eerie purpose, pale and ghost-like, its body barely visible in the dark, except for one unforgettable detail: its glowing orange eyes. The thing became known as the Dover Demon, one of the strangest and most iconic cryptids in American lore. So right now, we're going back to the 2 nights in 1977 to look at the facts, the eyewitness accounts, maybe, just maybe, figure out what the fuck happened in Dover, Massachusetts. We're going to start with what's called the Bartlett sighting. It's 10:30 p.m. on April 21st, a clear New England night, about 55 degrees, warm for early spring. 17-year-old William Bartlett is driving his Volkswagen north along Farm Street in Dover, just past where Dover-Sherborne Regional High School sits today. In the car with him are 2 friends, Mike Mazoka and Andy Brody. The boys are soaking in the last stretch of their spring break, just driving around, talking shit, smoking a little weed, trying to figure out what to do next. Bartlett later would say on the record that they weren't drunk or drinking at all, but they had puffed a J earlier, but only a couple puffs. They were fully, they weren't fully baked. He swore they were all in a good headspace. But as they were driving around, they saw it. At first, he thought it was a cat or dog, walking along a low stone wall on the left side of the road. But when his headlights lit it up, something didn't add up. It was gripping the stones, like really gripping them with long, spindly fingers, not paws, fingers, human-like, and way too strong looking for something that small. And then it turned and looked directly at him. The creature's eyes were the first thing that burned into his memory. 2 large, round, lidless orbs glowing bright orange like marbles lit from within. Its head was massive, shaped like a watermelon turned sideways, which I just love that fucking description. It's so good. It had no visible mouth, nose, or ears. Its body was small and skinny like a baby's torso with long limbs. The skin was completely hairless, rough and peach-colored, almost like wet sandpaper.
Ew, like one of those cats that have no hair.
Yeah, kind of.
Ew, gross.
Kind of.
Oh, those are so
When
ugly.
you started, I was thinking, well, sounds a lot like a monkey got loose.
Yeah.
But then the facial features, and there's nothing with glowing orange eyes.
That's
right?
the creepy part, right? Glowing orange eyes. There's nothing like that. To the monkey part, Bartlett later guessed it stood maybe 3.5 to 4 feet tall, about the size of a monkey. He didn't see a tail, but admitted it could have had one tucked out of view. The whole sighting lasted about 6 seconds. Just 6 seconds. He slammed the gas, took the next turn doing 45, 50 miles per hour, his heart racing, and got the fuck out of there.
Then smoked 2 more J's.
I'm pretty sure they're tripping balls.
Shaking, he asked Mike and Andy if they saw it too. They hadn't. Mike had been looking the other way, and Andy was in the back seat. They figured Bartlett was just messing with them or maybe just being overdramatic. But Bartlett's fear was real. So real, in fact, that Mike and Andy, half skeptical, half curious, talked him into turning around to go back. Now imagine this. Bartlett's terrified, white knuckling the steering wheel. Meanwhile, his 2 idiot friends are then allegedly hanging out the windows yelling, "Come on, creature, show yourself." I don't know why I'm giving them that accent, but that's literally quote what they said.
From Massachusetts.
I don't know. In my head, those words, that's how they sound strung together.
They moved from Kentucky to Massachusetts recently.
Get back here, creature. That's how it is.
It does sound like that would be the accent that fits.
Yeah. But I don't know why they were decided to go back and yell that. Maybe it's peer pressure, or maybe weed just makes you really brave. That's not my experience with weed, but I don't know. They didn't see anything, luckily, when they returned, but they got out of the car, they walked around the wall, took a couple steps into the woods, but nothing turned up.
They were definitely drinking. That's the behavior of someone who's
some
tied
liquid
a good
confidence.
One on. Yeah.
But back at the Bartlett house when they returned, still rattled, Mike suggested he draw what he saw. And it just so happened Bartlett wasn't your average teen doodler. He was a member of Boston's Copley Art Society, a legit, recognized young artist. So he picked up his sketchbook and drew the creature from memory. For the gang, we're going to post this on our Instagram, but this is a drawing of what he supposedly saw.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that drawing before. That is creepy.
Yeah. What's your thoughts? What's your reaction?
It looks like someone saw an alien.
Yeah.
I don't like if I saw that and someone said, "Do you think that's a cryptid or an alien?" I would think alien.
When we get to our theories later, alien's definitely on the list. Along the bottom, I don't know if you noticed it, scrawled in handwriting that feels way too serious for a joke, are the words, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles, I saw this creature." He literally wrote that at the bottom of the thing. It's like, creepy. This is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Bartlett got home that night, his parents could tell something had shaken him. They said he wasn't the kind of kid to make up stories. He was honest, not into drama or sci-fi. And while they didn't know exactly what he saw, they were 100% convinced something happened to frighten him that much. They actually were so weirded out by the situation, they urged him not to tell anyone about it. They didn't want him becoming the butt of some small town joke at the end of the day. And maybe that would have been the end of the story, if not for what happened just a few hours later. Early in the morning of April 22nd, just hours after Bartlett's encounter, a second sighting took place. 15-year-old John Baxter had just left his girlfriend's house and was walking along the south end of Miller Hill Road, trying to hitch a ride home. He'd been walking for about 30 minutes when he spotted a small figure heading toward him on the same side of the road. It was maybe 100 feet away at first. Small, child-sized. John figured it might be a local kid he knew, someone named MG Brochard. So he called out, "MG, that you?" No response. They kept walking toward each other in silence, but then they were 15 to 25 feet away from each other, and the figure suddenly stopped. So did John. He called out, Who is that?" Still nothing. By now, the clouds had rolled in and blocked the moonlight. Even from that close, 25 feet away, all John could see was a dark silhouette. So what does he do? He steps closer. At that moment, the figure bolted straight into the woods. John watched it as it sprinted down a small embankment into a gully, then across a wet patch of ground, and then up onto the other side of the gully. He could hear the dry leaves crunching under each one of its footsteps. So what does he do? The unthinkable. He decided to follow it.
These kids are ballsy.
Yeah, right. They really are. Once he crossed into the gully, John stopped when he got within about 25 feet of the thing. It had stopped too, this time perched on a rock, gripping a tree with both hands. Its outline was visible against the open field behind it. It was standing on 2 legs, its feet curled around the rock beneath it. Its fingers were wrapped tightly around the trunk of the tree, as if it needed it to support its body. Its body looked kind of like a monkey's, but with an oversized figure-8-shaped head. He said he could make out its eyes glowing faintly in the center of its face. John stood there for several minutes, frozen, heart pounding. Eventually, he backed away slowly, climbed back up the slope to the road, and then he walked fast as he panicked until he reached the intersection of Farm Street, where a couple then picked him up and drove him home. At that time, it was just after 1 a.m. As soon as he got home, just like Bartlett, John grabbed the pencil and sketched what he saw. And we also have this image that I'm going to share with you all. And again, we'll post it on the Instagram. This is what he supposedly saw.
Oh, damn. It's like the same thing.
Oh, yeah. That's eerily similar, only standing up.
Yeah. How creepy is this, right? Like insane.
Like they didn't talk to that we know about. They didn't talk to each other or share stories.
You got to think, we're in the 1970s, same night, a couple hours apart. They weren't together.
Nobody's texting each other.
When they were investigated later, they said they didn't know of each other's events beforehand or anything like that happened. This wasn't coordinated.
And this kid's 15. The other kid's like 17. So there's definitely an age gap where they probably, unless related, it's unlikely that they're running in the same circle.
Yeah. Later, when he told his parents, they said they believed him. He wasn't the kind of kid, again, to make up stories, although his dad did admit that John was very into science fiction, which gave him just a little bit of pause about like, could he? He's kind of into this stuff.
Imagination kind of taken over.
Exactly. But here's where it gets even weirder, to the point we just talked about. John hadn't heard about Bartlett's sighting when this happened, and Bartlett wouldn't learn about John's sighting until 5 days later on April 26th, when the two of them finally met and kind of compared notes a little bit. When Bartlett saw John's sketch, just like the two of you, just like our audience is going to, stunned. The resemblance is absolutely undeniable. So now we have two similar sightings. Like, how fucking weird is this, right? This is strange.
If we believe that they didn't both make this up, then there was something in the woods that night that they either misidentified or has never been seen before.
Yeah, something was there.
Yeah.
This feels like something happened. What? I don't know. Either that or they got some good weed. They got that good weed, all of them. So this is weird, right? But guess what? Later that same night, April 22nd, another sighting. Will Tainter was driving 15-year-old Abby Brabham home to nearby Sherborne. The two were headed down Springdale Avenue, just a quarter mile outside of the center of Dover, when Abby suddenly noticed something up ahead in the road. In the beam of the headlights, something was crouched in the left lane. Abby said it looked like a monkey, but it wasn't. It had a huge, oblong head and thin, hairless body that was tan or beige in color. No visible nose, mouth, or ears. She didn't see a tail either. The creature was facing the car, and its eyes glowed bright green in the reflection of the headlights.
Ooh.
Our first kind of discrepancy.
Yeah, she says green eyes. Weren't the other ones red?
Orange.
Interesting.
Will, who was in the car driving, only caught a glimpse, but enough to confirm something was there. He described a tan, crouched figure with a large head. It had its front limbs raised slightly as it scurried off the road. He was driving about 40 miles per hour at the time, so the moment passed so fast that he wasn't 100% positive exactly what he saw. He was sure of one thing, though. It was not a dog. He said it was more like the size of a goat. Abby was so freaked out, she begged Will to speed up and get the fuck out of there, so they did. Now, here's the interesting twist. Abby hadn't heard a single word about the other sightings, but Will had heard about Bartlett's encounter earlier that same day. Still, both Abby and Will stuck to their story. When questioned, their parents said the same exact thing as the other parents. These weren't the kind of kids to lie or stir up drama, and whatever they saw, it clearly shook them, so they must have seen something. And just like that, we now had 3 sightings in just under 25 hours. What are we thinking? I see.
Well,
I see
yeah,
your
I'm
thought.
just thinking because I'm like, so this kid, Will, the third kid, how did he hear about the sighting earlier in the night?
Apparently, friend group with Bartlett from the first sighting, and Bartlett shared what he saw, kind of panicked him. Apparently, really, in the story, what happened is like after Abby saw it, Will, like a couple minutes later, I guess, clicked like, oh my God, Bartlett told me earlier today he saw something, and he started 21 questioning kind of Abby, like, what did you see? Like trying to compare notes from what he heard earlier to see if it was the same thing.
Right.
That's supposedly how it went down.
Okay.
But Abby claims that she and Will never talked about it.
Yeah.
She had no idea there was something out there.
I guess I'm just wondering that, like, so if the kid that was driving her home, Will had heard about it, and then they saw something that maybe scared her, she's 15, she's young, she's, impressionable.
Sure.
And then he starts questioning her. Could he have been asking leading questions?
Oh, for sure. And he's implanting
and then
things
she's
into
like,
her brain.
oh, no,
Did it have an oblong head?
Yeah.
Was it, describing what his friend described?
Yeah.
Right. Or saying, like, was its eyes glowing? And she's like, yeah, green. You know what I mean? So, like...
And I think, Chris, if we go back to like your alien abductions in New England episode, we talked a lot about like, can people's thoughts and conversations and things they've seen or heard about, can that create memories that didn't happen?
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
But you had two witnesses both seeing the same thing without sharing a story. And both of them are just off enough.
Yeah.
That it doesn't sound like a misidentification of a dog or a squirrel or a cat.
I agree. 100%. I think they still saw something. At this point in the story, not sure what, but I think something was out there.
Yeah.
Even if Abby was jumping on the bandwagon telling a story, I think it still stands.
Yeah. I think what we need to do and where we're going to go now is we have to find a little bit more about the credibility of these teens, right?
Yeah.
Like, is this legit?
Yeah, because I mean,
not?
all the parents are like, no, they're good kids.
Yeah. Like find a fucking parent who doesn't say that.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
my kid's the best.
Yeah, my kid is so perfect.
Yeah. I also do want to say, though, the fact that Bartlett did come out and admit that they had been smoking weed a couple hours before the event happened.
Yeah,
like,
that even leads credibility to me.
Agree.
Right.
Like, when I was that age, if I was doing that, which I wasn't, but if I did, I wouldn't admit that. So,
Pretty shoe high right now.
It is 420.
Oh, it is. This the day. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some credibility. So just to recap, we've got 3 sightings over the course of 25 hours, 4 different teens, different locations. While one heard rumors of the first encounter, the others hadn't spoken or compared notes at all. And yet, as we all just said, the descriptions eerily similar to what we've got going on here. Well, when it comes to credibility, I was able to dive into some reports and find some interesting statements. First, let's start with Dover Police Chief Carl Scherderin called Bartlett, our first witness, an outstanding artist and an extremely reliable witness. Science teacher Robert Linton, who spoke with Bartlett right after the sighting, said the youth seemed extremely sincere, and so sincere I have to believe him. Cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, who we heard about in Chris's Bridgewater Triangle episode a while back.
You got over to Dover?
Yeah, he got over the Dover. He skipped on over and he was like, cryptids, I'm in, baby.
It's like the Warrens.
Yeah, exactly. He arrived in Dover shortly after the sightings and personally interviewed all of the teens. He came out and said that he found their accounts consistent and compelling. And he is also the one, Lauren Coleman, who gave the creature its now famous name, the Dover Demon. That's a catchy ass name.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty fucking good.
But
name.
I don't think he's ever met anybody that wasn't credible.
Yeah, probably.
He'd be in a mental ward, be like, yeah, I believe this guy.
Yeah. He go. Another respected voice, Walter N. Webb, an astronomer and UFO investigator and head of the planetarium at the Boston Science Museum, and also well known for interviewing Betty and Barney Hill just days after their alleged abduction. He conducted extensive analysis of the Dover case, also spoke with each one of the witnesses, and he came out and said he found their stories not just credible, but remarkably stable under scrutiny.
Wow.
Yeah.
This case is getting a lot of scientific scrutiny and a lot of attention, considering it's 3 teenagers that saw something in the woods.
Yeah. This just like, it caught, like when the news came out, like it took off, not just in Dover, national news. Like this was everywhere when this happened. I do want to keep going a little bit. The school principal at Dover Sherburne also weighed in saying, I don't think these kids got together and invented it. Were they troublemakers? No, they weren't. They were average students. Which I just think that's so funny. Like your principal just burned you so bad.
Come on, if my principal called me average, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Moving up in the world.
Yeah, you're not overachievers, but you're not troublemakers. You're the ones that just kind of go through the process.
Just fitting in. Even one Dover police officer joked, at first I was going to ask them for whatever it was they were smoking, but I know all 4 of them, all of us do, they are very reputable people. So what's the catch?
Well,
yeah, really interesting.
Even that comment right there, right? Like he makes a comment and says, I was going to ask them what they were smoking, right? So again, I'm not saying that these kids were lying, but the first kid already admitted that they were smoking weed.
Yeah.
Yet everybody's like, nah, they weren't smoking.
Have
like,
you ever, you don't smoke weed. None of the 3 of us have ever done that in our lives. But if you would, does it ever cause hallucinations? Like, I've never had hallucinations in my non-smoking weed days.
I don't know. Maybe it was laced. It was in the 70s. Yeah. I don't know. I think they were tripping balls. I don't know. I think this was like a drug.
But even if they did, there were different areas. They weren't all together on the same night. You just think a bunch of kids just doing LSD in different areas on the same night.
They're getting it from the same dealer.
Now the drug causes the same hallucination amongst multiple people. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm pretty sure that's not how that works.
Yeah, we don't do drugs. We wouldn't know.
I think it's more likely than there's a cryptid running around Dover.
It's really interesting that this case got so much attention from so many people, though.
Yeah, I am surprised about
You
that.
literally have 3 kids who saw something strange in the woods, and now you have scientists and principals and the chief of police all chiming in.
Yeah. I want to say, too, that, like, Lauren Coleman, this is his shit, right?
Yeah, he blew it up.
Apparently, the story goes that he just happened to be driving through, stopped at, like, a local, like, shop, and the person at the counter told him about the cryptid, and he was just like, can I meet the kids who saw this? And they're just like, come back in 2 days. And he came back in 2 days. They had the phone numbers for the kids, the sketch that Bartlett drew, gave it to Coleman, and that's kind of what started him going down the path. He called the ufologist and started pulling people in to help kind of investigate the case. So I don't know how much and to what extent Lauren takes full credit for blowing this up and putting it on the map, but he definitely has a hand in it for sure.
Yeah, he played a bigger role, it sounds like. I go up to random gas stations and ask, you see anything weird in the woods lately? Anything you can't explain? Can you tell me? Give me these kids' phone numbers.
Well, I mean, I think back then, people were more chatty.
Maybe back in the 70s.
And especially having someone like new come in and then...
Let's challenge ourselves. Anytime we go to a gas station, we just walk and go, you see anything in the woods? Just like start throwing it up there. You don't know. You don't know what they're going to say. Chris's face.
I was just thinking, the lady at the gas station I stop at, she's seeing things in the woods. I don't know if I want to start that conversation because I don't know if it'll ever end.
I love it.
Which time? I got my drawings. Just stay there.
Chris is still in the gas station. He never gets to work. Of everyone interviewed about these sightings, only one person questioned the teen's credibility. An anonymous teacher, and I want to call this out, this person didn't want to go on record with their name, described Bartlett, our first witness, as troubled, frustrated kid with low credibility. He cuts class. He hangs around other students in the smoking lounge with John Baxter, our second sighting, and hung with a clique known for being less than studious. In fact, he went on further to say, if I had to pick someone to pull something like this, it would be Bartlett.
All right.
But he wouldn't go on record, though.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't either. It's a small town.
And you're going against everything that everyone else is saying.
And, his parents are going to hear that.
Yeah.
So I'd be pissed. Calling my kid a piece of shit.
Yeah, true. I guess I didn't think about it like that. Yeah. So that was it. One voice of doubt. Dozens of others said the same thing. Whatever these teens saw, to me at least, I don't think it was nothing. So let's get into some theories. Theory 1. The most straightforward take, shared by all 4 teens at the time, was that they had seen some kind of unknown living creature. Not a ghost, not an alien, just something real, biological, and just unidentified at the time. Something maybe Bigfoot adjacent, just smaller and weirder. In fact, Bartlett told investigators it wasn't a dog or cat. The most notably interesting thing was its long, weird fingers, and it was nothing I've seen before. He later added in a different interview, I didn't want to tell anyone, to be honest. I was afraid people would call me crazy. I wish I never saw it. It scared me. I wish I never drew it. It's the kind of thing that's been following me ever since. John Baxter, too, described the figure as standing in kind of a hunched position with its long fingers wrapped around the tree. It was just there watching. I wish I didn't see it. Neither Bartlett nor Baxter ever claimed it was supernatural, just strange, something that didn't belong. Even Lauren Coleman admitted there's never been a good explanation. No fossil evidence, no follow-up sightings, just this one strange moment in time. So our first theory is just a creature. Just a creature in the woods.
I struggle with that one. It's literally 10 minutes outside of Boston.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever seen this thing before.
But nobody's seen it since either.
I could see that in the Amazon, finding a creature that nobody in the Western world knew about, and nobody in the modern world knew about, but not in 10 minutes south of Boston, not in a suburb.
Yeah, 15 miles southwest. Yeah, that's wild, right? I agree. I don't think this was a never before seen animal. I think this is something stranger, in my opinion. I agree.
I could see it being an animal, but maybe a monkey that was really sick that escaped its cage and had mange or something along those lines, but not a cryptid.
I was going to ask, is there any facilities nearby that would have been doing animal testing?
Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. You might be hitting something interesting here in a second. Theory 2, an alien encounter, because obviously. Yeah, it has to be here, right?
It's aliens.
Yeah. Some have speculated that the Dover demon wasn't of this world at all, that it could have been an extraterrestrial being, possibly even one of the classic gray aliens. And Kathy, you actually said it earlier when you were looking up those photos. You go, hey, like if you asked me what this was, I would have said it was an alien.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree. I think it kind of looks like that.
It definitely looks like a gray alien. It does not look like it belongs on this world.
Yeah. But here's the interesting thing. Neither Lauren Coleman nor Walter N. Webb, a UFOologist, ever made the comparison directly to aliens. Coleman noted similarities to a 1955 Kelly Hopkinsville case where witnesses claimed to be attacked by small alien-like creatures, but those beings had these large floppy-ass ears, which we already know all the sightings in the Dover Demon had no ears at all based on what everyone said. So that kind of ruled that out. Webb, despite his UFO background, didn't jump to an alien conclusion either. He focused on the uniqueness of this case and the witnesses' credibility. So he thought this was just something super specific that's only happened in Dover, not UFOs coming in and out. Still, if the Dover Demon was something not of this world, it might explain how it appeared suddenly and then disappeared to never be seen again.
That makes sense, right? Because it was seen for 2 days, never seen before, never seen since.
Yeah.
If you believe in aliens, that makes sense.
Good.
When you look at the picture, it definitely does look more alien. And my first initial impression of the photo was, being that it's an alien, maybe it was like an immature alien, like a child alien. like that's what I thought. I was like, well, think about it. I mean, we have children, right?
Yeah,
so maybe it was like a child alien. I don't know.
And the parents are just really neglectful.
Yeah, it's teaching a kid a lesson. I'll drop you off of those humans. See you in 2 days.
I don't know. Maybe.
Some kind of a punishment.
Yeah.
Maybe it snuck off the ship. I don't know.
I love it. I love that theory. I love that theory.
That's my go-with theory now.
Theory 3 is, could it be a baby moose? In 1998, Illinois farmer and UFOologist Martin S. Cottemeyer proposed that what the teens saw was simply a baby moose. And I want to show you all a quick picture of a baby moose. Again, we will put it on the Instagram for the gang. But you can see it's got a weird shaped big head.
It does, but the other one, the drawings don't have big ears.
Yeah.
And moose don't stand up.
Yeah.
And grip a tree.
Yeah, I think that's
Moose would stand up on their back legs and
grip
grab
a tree with its hands.
But
no. Yeah.
wouldn't it can't they stand up on their back legs and put their
oh sure
maybe
hooves?
Yeah,
but they have hooves. They don't have long skinny fingers.
You are getting to where I'm going. To be fair, I think we can all agree baby moose look fucking weird, especially in low light. I can imagine that looking stranger. But to your points, there's some major issues with this one, right? Moose don't have fingers. That's a big one, right? That's huge. Moose don't tend to walk upright, to your point, Kathy. And moose are extremely rare in Massachusetts, first off, especially 15 miles from a major city. Probably not a moose.
And they do have hair. And they all the other ones said that they were hairless.
It could have mange, though, or something like Chris was pointing.
If I saw that at night, I'd say deer. I mean, that would be my go-to.
I don't know. That thing looks fucking weird.
Baby moose are a lot bigger than deer.
Big deer.
Big deer. Deer on
this picture. I'm looking at fucking weird. I don't know what I'd say.
Yeah, because then moose have that weird hump on their back too.
Yeah, I'd be like chupacabra, chupacabra. I'd be freaking out.
Baby Bigfoot.
It's a camel. Only smaller.
Ooh, I like baby camel. Another theory, an escaped pet monkey or zoo animal. Some have suggested it could have been an orangutan or a similar primate shaved down, possibly even a lab animal. One possibility floated in local rumors was that the Stone Zoo was only about 30 miles away from Dover, but there were no official reports of an escape or anything happening.
Are they
going
to report it?
Wow, the Stone Zoo is on the other side of Boston. That means that monkey got all the way through Boston.
30 fucking miles.
30 miles. It went without
no one else saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also nighttime, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Over 2 days, though.
Over 2 days, yeah.
Yeah, so let's pretend this theory is exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it's some animal that escaped from the zoo. Say it's a sick monkey, and somehow the sick monkey escapes the Stone Zoo, and it's running on across Massachusetts. They probably would want to keep that kind of hush-hush, like, hey, we lost an animal.
Yeah.
Especially if there wasn't any sightings that confirmed, hey, it's an animal. And during the day, it's probably going to hide because especially in an area that's as populated as we're talking about, the animal might like maybe hide up in a tree or forest covered area.
It's
so
still
it
traveled
hide.
30 miles though.
Yeah,
which
in
I
a
feel like is
pretty
impressive.
urban area.
Yeah. And although Dover has a shit ton of trees and stuff, I mean, I don't know if the whole 30 stretch miles is covered in woods.
I do like this theory though, because there's a lot of medical experimentation and labs in the Boston area.
Sure.
Back in the 70s, there were not very tight controls.
Lots of animals.
So could this have been a orangutan that they were testing medications on that got out that looks all distorted because of the tests they were doing?
And to that point, Chris, I actually was doing some research and I connected with a guy named Norman while I was doing that. And he told me that he grew up in the Dover area and supposedly there was on Locust Road in Dover, he claimed that there had once been an animal testing site. And he said that he remembered as a child that there were fences up and there were government property signs that went all around it. However, when I tried to do some research and I went hard to try to find out if this actually existed, I couldn't find a single record of an animal testing facility existing. Not saying that Norman is not telling the truth. There could have been
Norman's telling
there.
The truth. It was hidden.
Yeah.
They've erased it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially if the government was involved, like they're not going to be like open book about it.
I think it's a compelling thought. And Kathy, you alluded to it earlier too. If a facility was there and something strange did get out, could it have been hairless, malnourished, maybe even experimented on? And could that explain the skin texture, the behavior, the way it looked?
As crazy as that sounds, I think that's the best explanation we've heard so far. And then you have this guy, Norman, who's confirming it because he grew up in the area and said he saw the facilities.
Yeah. And then if all of a sudden, if the story itself kind of takes over, they go out, quietly go in, capture it, because now they pretty much have an area that they know that the animal is located in.
Yeah.
Go in, get the animal, go back in, and then hush, hush, don't nobody say anything.
Yeah. Now to this theory, I do think this one has some teeth to it. I think this could have some, maybe some truth, but I do just want to play fair here and even to say the only reference I found about any animal testing facility in the area is from one person I found on Reddit named Norman. Right. So, and again, Norman, if you're listening, man, not calling anything out. I just want to be like honest about my storytelling here. Couldn't find anything else that referenced it. I didn't see any references of people out looking for the animal and governments.
What about the name of the facility that he referenced?
He didn't know the name of the facility. So he just remembered the location of it.
Got it.
And where it was. And I tried to take a look.
You have a bunch of universities in the Boston area and they all have research labs. So could something have accidentally gotten loose?
Sure.
Oh, absolutely. And universities, they don't want to publicize animal testing. No,
of course not,
especially now, but back
back in the 70s.
Huge protests against it.
Our fifth theory, could this be something from folklore that maybe is actually real? Some believe the Dover demon wasn't a cryptid or alien, but something older.
Pudgewuggy.
Yeah, maybe. Something older, stranger, something from folklore. I'm not going to go the Pukwudgie path, although that could definitely potentially be something. I'm going to go a different one. The Cree people of Eastern Canada have stories of something called the Manigeshi, small, human-like trickster with long limbs, large heads, hairless bodies, who lurk near water and rocky areas. They are said to capsize canoes and play pranks on travelers. And I asked, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it sounds exactly like it.
Yeah. The Pukwudgie did the same thing. It was called a trickster and it was a demon spirit.
Could definitely be. Others compare to entities from old world European folklore. In Celtic and Scandinavian traditions, there are accounts of thin-limbed, oversized headed fae or forest spirits that dwell in the dark and only appear under mysterious conditions, briefly, only to then vanish and never be seen again.
It wasn't just the Irish that came over in the boat, Sean.
Yeah, that's right. Could the Dover demon have been a glimpse of something more from another plane, something that slipped through just for the moment? Hard to say, but I think the folklore connections run pretty deep in the area.
Yeah.
Our next theory, a hoax. Probably the most grounded theory is that it was all just a hoax. I mean, spring break, teenagers, weed, peer pressure. Maybe one saw something weird, the others played along. But there's the thing. None of them ever changed their stories throughout their lives. No one ever confessed. And Bartlett, to this day, still says that he wishes he had never saw anything at all. He still, to this day, says that he regrets drawing it and that this legacy has just followed him his entire life. And I say that if it was a hoax, why would he stay committed if he doesn't want the legacy to follow him anymore? Why wouldn't he just call it out and say that he faked it?
Well, because now it would just be a new legacy. Just like look at the guy who faked the Bigfoot video.
He did that for money, though. There was a clear incentive. What's the incentive here?
Because they're 17-year-old kids.
I don't know. I feel like after you get your high of like tricking the town, you just like be like, okay, yeah, it wasn't real. I totally like that would. I feel like that would come out.
I feel like this could be one of those situations where they created it. It kind of got way out of hand, and there could be some truth to what he's saying. I wish I never said I saw it. I wish I never drew it. This has followed me. Because now it's a lie that's gotten so out of control. Yeah. How do you dig yourself out of it?
Yeah, I guess we won't know, right?
Yeah.
I guess we won't truly know. What I will say is, do you remember how Bartlett, and his name was William Bartlett, he ultimately was like a painter and he just like drew it. And we said he was like pretty well-known amateur artist. Well, guess what? He grew up to be.
Oh.
He is a professional artist, and you can visit and see his work at williambartlettfineart.com.
Oh,
and if you all want to kind of see a little bit, he does sell it, and that's how he makes his full-time living.
Wow, he's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a nice
Wow, that's a drawing?
Too. Yeah.
Wow, that was like a photo.
And gang, feel free to go ahead and check that out if you just want to be like, wow, impressed by some good art there. So that kind of wraps up some of the major theories, right? And I'm going to be honest here. Just when I thought I was wrapping up this episode, I connected with a guy named Abel who said he saw something himself that looked exactly like the Dover Demon. Not in the 70s, but in the mid-1990s, right here in New Hampshire.
Okay. Gotta hear this story.
Yeah, I want to share this with y'all. Abel grew up in Sullivan County. One weekend, he and 3 friends, Josh, Mikey, and Dave, took a Ford Ranger out to a massive quarry near Gilsum. And I want to note, not a Versace, a Ford Ranger. It was a steep, half-flooded, and quiet. At the far edge, sticking out of the black water, was the rusted-out trunk of a car someone had driven off the cliffs many years ago.
That's the Versace.
Yeah. They made camp, lit a fire, cracked open a couple beers, and it was around 1 a.m. when Josh got up to go take a piss near the water. As he turned to head back, the group heard it. A splash. Too big to be a fish. Josh froze. He raised his hand, the universal shut up and listen signal. The laughing stopped. Everyone tensed. Then came a strange, wet, crunching sound. Abel described it as like someone eating a messy bowl of cereal. Real messy. Like,
I hate that sound.
Yeah. They scrambled for a flashlight. Mikey finally got one working and aimed it across the water toward the half-submerged car. And that's when they saw it. A thin, pale, emaciated figure crouched on the trunk, eating a raw fish. It had long fingers, stretched limbs, and a smooth, oversized head, just like the Dover sketches. Dave did what any terrified teen would do. He chucked a full can of Bud Ice at it.
Well played, sir. Well played.
He missed. The can clanged off the car, and the creature bolted into the darkness. But in the morning, the same can of Bud Ice was back on the trunk, empty, standing upright. From then on, they called it the Gilsum Golem. And every time they visited the quarry from there on after, they would bring it offerings, beer, pizza, whatever they had. They never saw it there again, though. But a few months later, Abel saw it again. He was driving his girlfriend home from Keene when something slithered across the road, low, fast, and with a fish in its mouth. Later, when they asked their high school science teacher about it, he gave a weird little smile and said, "Oh, that's just Randy. You saw Randy." And that was it.
Yeah.
Abel ended his message with,
Tell me the story doesn't end there.
It ends there.
Oh, come on.
It ends there. I did ask some follow-up questions about Randy, and he said, we think that science teacher might have been doing a lot of acid. To which I say, that is fantastic. Abel ended the message with, "Anyway, I'm not much of an artist, but I did my best to sketch the creature we saw in the quarry. Please see attached. I hope this helps, and thanks for the interest. Most people just think I'm batshit crazy when I tell this story, but I know what I saw." And he did sketch what he felt he saw that night for us as well. And that is it.
It looks like the other things.
It does.
It's eerily similar.
So sketchy. And gang, we're going to put this on our Instagram.
He said he's not a good artist.
That's actually impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive. I thought so as well, too. I also like that he put on the top, AKA Randy. So good. So good. Oh, man. So is Randy, AKA the Gilsum Golem, the same creature seen in Dover in 1977? Or is it something else entirely? I have no idea. But what I do know is New England is weird as hell.
Yeah.
And that's my story on the Dover Demon.
Huh.
I enjoyed that story. And hoax is the most obvious one, right?
Yeah.
But you have too many people seeing it, and it just got way out of control in that town.
Yeah, crazy. And Kathy, I can see your mind going, and like I too was just like, a lot of people just be getting high. Could they be lying about what they're doing?
Yeah.
But once you start thinking about like it's 3 different groups of people over 2 nights seeing it, like that takes the drug piece out of the equation, at least as far as I'm concerned. And then it just comes down to it's either a group hoax that they're all putting together, or they saw something that night. And personally, they saw something. That's where I am right now. I don't know what.
I'm there too, because, a hoax, people know the kids from town. They're like, oh, yeah, these kids are making shit up.
Yeah.
But it got a lot of attention. It got scientists, cryptologists. It got Coleman to go out to town and start talking about it.
And my question is, do you think a bunch of 15 and 17-year-old kids, can they trick a bunch of adults into believing this? Like, your parents, sure. Yeah. So,
yes. Mia has pulled the wool over my eyes.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, now you have their parents talking to other adults. And now you have this famous person coming in. Even adults, they want to be involved in something. It's kind of exciting. I don't know.
But to have a science teacher and then the guy who ran the planetarium interview and believe the children. I mean, I think a scientist would be able to ask questions. Okay, this is what puts us out of the realm of possibility. This is what keeps it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the only time that it's ever been seen, they literally created.
They were also looking for a cryptid, right?
We got Randy here.
Other than Randy.
So I'm just saying, who knows? Who knows? To your point into this conversation, it was an affluent town. If it's a bunch of rich people, they don't want their kids being looked at as crazy. Maybe they're willing to buy in. I don't know. This is a weird one. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was much deeper than I thought it was.
Same. Absolutely the same. I did not think we were going to get a full episode out of it, but we got a banger, I think. So.
Yeah, I'd heard the story, but it was like 3 paragraphs.
Well, hey, I'm going to do this.
It's good.
Pretend theoretical gun to your head. What is it? What happened?
It's a hoax.
Chris?
They saw something in the woods. It was a misidentification.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go misidentification, but I hope it's Randy.
I don't know who Randy is, but...
I think you should go out in the backyard tonight. Randy. Randy.
Come here, Randy.
Bring in some beer and pizza.
Oh, man. I love it. And Abel, thank you so much for sharing that story, by the way. Definitely appreciate it. Well, Kathy, Chris, I hope you both enjoyed this story. Gang, we hope you enjoyed it as well, too. We just want to send a couple of reminders out there real quick that you can go ahead and visit our Instagram, where I'll be going ahead and I'll be posting all of these images that we reference here today so that you can see it and you can make your own opinion on what exactly the Dover demon itself is. While you're at our Instagram, don't forget, we're not just building communities there. We're also building them over at Facebook as well as on Reddit. You can go ahead and visit that at Weirder After Dark on all 3 of those social media pages and start talking to us, interact with us, or other people who are enjoying these episodes just like you. Also, remember that we are always on the lookout for more Randy stories. So have you seen Randy? Have you seen the Dover demon? Is there anything cooking? You having strange dreams, aliens, moose? Talk to us. We're here for it. You can go. Hey, I'm just rolling here. You can go.
Moose.
You can send your weird New England experiences to us at thegang@weirderafterdark.com, and we will go ahead and share them on a future episode of our 2 Tales and a Lie, our listener tales experience. And don't forget, it always gets a little weirder after dark.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.